and I was misdiagnosed with a learning disability and a reading disability, and it was determined that I was mentally retarded as a kid. So I was so broke, and then 4 years later, I was a millionaire. So I went from an R9 credit rating where I was so financially broke that I couldn't even afford to pay bankruptcy fees to go bankrupt. So people asked me, did you ever go bankrupt? I said I couldn't afford the fees. 4 years later, I was a millionaire. So I turned it all around. Now I'm a multi-millionaire.
Hey, Starborn community. Hopefully you're doing all right. I'm here with Sir Darren, author of Until I Become. And how are you?
I'm grateful to be here.
So you said you're an entrepreneur, philanthropist?
Yes.
I want you to start a little bit resuming how did life take you to that point? What matters for you being an entrepreneur? Give us a little bit of your background, pretty much.
Yeah, sure. Great question. So I failed grade 1 of public school, and I was misdiagnosed with a learning disability and a reading disability, and it was determined that I was mentally retarded as a kid.
No way.
And so they called my parents in. I grew up in Swift Current, Saskatchewan, Canada. And so city of less than 20,000 people in population. Yeah. So they brought my parents in, sat me down in this little room and said that, your kid is unfit to attend regular public school. So what they did with me is put me into what we call special education or special needs. And so I was in a small learning assisted classroom with a teacher learning assistant. And that was my life from grade 1 to grade 12. And so because of that childhood trauma, I created my first company at age 7 called Rent-A-Kid. And I would go out and serve my community by solving problems.
At what age, sorry?
I was age 7. 7 years old. I was making money at age 7.
Are you kidding me?
Yep, 7 years of age. I was cutting grass, shoveling sidewalks, delivering newspapers. I think kids should own 2 bikes, one to ride and one to rent. That's where you learn. If you have kids, you teach your kids how to own 2 bicycles, one to ride and one to rent. Even if it's for $1 a day, at least you're teaching them how the skill set of entrepreneurship. And so by the time I was 9 years old, hired my 2 best friends to work with me. We're still great friends 45 plus years later to this day.
Oh, this is amazing, man. I've never interviewed someone like that, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So my next question will be like, how was for you all this trauma? How this all trauma push you to the point that you are nowadays? So
great question.
If you want to give some context to the audience, like what actually are you building nowadays?
So benefits and drawbacks. Benefits was it allowed me to really be disciplined. And accountable and responsible and focused. So I could compartmentalize things and detach from any emotion and just go into a zone, like a sniper into a zone. And I would detach from any type of emotional feeling. So benefit in business, drawback in personal life. Because I'm what they call a dismissive avoidant type personality style in relationships, intimate relationships. Because when things get very challenged in a personal relationship, like for example with a woman, I can shut down. And for me, vulnerability is something I'm working on. I have a coach that works with me on vulnerability to express myself. Whereas I can go onto social media and look at a Facebook account, see somebody's dog passed away today, and I'll start crying and be emotional about it. But yet somebody who's close to me tells me a very deep personal story that's something that really matters to them, that's very sensitive to them, and I will just go into a zone and listen to them, but not show any type of emotion. Like I won't be crying or something like that. And so there's a disconnection of insensitivity.
I see.
But in business, it works very well because
high EQ, right?
Yeah, and I'm very disciplined, very accountable, very responsible. So when I focus on a target or a goal in business, I lock in and I get it done. I'm very results driven. And, I'm the person, that's why I'm on a lot of advisory boards and boards of directors, because I can see blind spots that the founders and CEOs don't see. I can do risk mitigation because I'm very good at that. Because as a kid growing up in special education, I learned how to see around corners because I wasn't safe as a child. Okay. I wasn't safe. I didn't feel like anybody had my back and nobody was there to protect me. So I was this vulnerable, lost little kid who felt I was not good enough and I felt misunderstood. So my big thing is, my mind, people say, what's your mind chatter in life today? Is I walk around the planet as a human being being misunderstood. So I'm terrible as an employee because I don't like to follow directions and I don't like being told what to do because as a child, I felt that I was misguided by teachers and educators and I was misinformed. Right, that I had to sit still and I had to be put on a drug called Ritalin and I had to do all these things, but yet I didn't have a learning disability. It was a teaching disability. And as I grew up, I learned that we don't have money problems in life. We only have thinking problems in life. There's no lack of financial resources on this planet. There's an overflowing financial abundance.
Yeah.
And how you make more money is by solving problems and serving people, and you do it with honesty and integrity. When I was younger, I had selective integrity. If I could get something from you, I was focused, dialed in, and had high levels of integrity.
Wow.
But as I grew older and I took training development, got coaches and mentors and joined mastermind groups, and I did integrity audits on my life, where I actually hired people, paid people a lot of money to come in and rip my life apart and show me all my blind spots that I cannot see.
Okay.
Areas where I life I'd maybe exaggerate things, embellish things, inflate things because I wanted to impress a girl, or I wanted to close a business deal, or I wanted to get a check for something.
Ego things.
Yeah. And all driven why? This fear of not being good enough, right?
Yeah.
And wanting to look good and not wanting to look bad as a human being.
I see.
And so most human beings walk around the planet wanting to look good, not wanting to look bad.
Perfect. And how did you start your after that business? When was your first, like, you would say, like, winning business? And,
I had a lot of adversities and challenges.
Yeah.
I was always great at making money. I could always, I could go out the street and always find money because I always find a way to solve a problem and serve people.
Lovely.
But I had where my failures have come from was my being naive in terms of trusting people, but not verifying and doing my due diligence, and not trusting people around me with their women's intuition. Right. So what I've really learned now is if I'm in a joint venture, a strategic alliance, or a partnership, I go through a discovery process. I ask a lot of questions, and I do a deep dive of due diligence myself and a team. Yeah. And one of the big things right now is I take people hiking. It's part of the due diligence process.
Actually, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
So with hiking, behavior never lies. And most people can talk a really good game.
Okay.
Right? Most people talk a really good game. Right? They move their lips, but they don't move their feet. So people talk a really good game, but most people cannot deal with controlled discomfort. So what I do is when I take people on hiking trails,
I see what you mean.
I purposely put them out of their comfort zone where they got to fart, they got to burp, they got to sweat. And you learn about situational awareness, controlled discomfort, doing things that are uncomfortable until they become comfortable, because people can talk in a boardroom or a coffee shop or a restaurant about how they're going to build a multi-million-dollar or $1 billion company.
100%.
But when I take them into nature and I take them into an environment where there's wild animals, or I take you hiking at nighttime and I shut your headlamp off and you have to rely on the moon to get through on a hiking trail. It's a few miles or a few kilometers. Yeah. And now you have to be comfortable in your own skin, and the social mask has to come off, and the vulnerability and the authenticity has to come out, because behavior never lies. And so I like to watch and observe people when things get challenging and you want to quit. What's the actions that you're going to do? When things get uncomfortable and discomfortable, what are you going to do? Are you going to quit? Are you going to complain? Are you going to give up? Or are you going to attack the hill and persevere? Because I'm going to watch your actions and watch your behaviors, because your behavior doesn't lie.
I see.
And so it's a great experiential, practical way to get past all people's degrees and education and BS and see them on. I like to take people and put them on the court. Let's put them on the court and see how they perform in real life situations. Yeah. And then we'll do best case scenario, likely case scenario, and worst case scenario. No different than pilots putting them into a flight simulator. Let's simulate worst case scenarios. You see, pilots deal with controlled crashes. Every time a plane lands on the ground at an airport, it's a controlled crash.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? It's a controlled crash. But the thing is, the pilots are there for worst case scenario situations. But most people don't want to be uncomfortable. People want to play it safe. Yeah. But if you're going to grow and scale a business or become an entrepreneur or do things, you have to be uncomfortable, and you have to persevere through pain. You can't have a pregnancy as a woman without going through pain. Yeah. Right? You can't build a business or raise capital without going through pain.
Yeah, 100%. So I want to rescue two things that you said. The first one, it was you were very naive. And my first question would be, what are 2 or 3 red flags that immediately in a negotiation you said, this is a no-no situation. Absolutely. I got to get out of here. Yeah. My second question is, I love that you take people to hike, because you will see how their mindset work. But what about skills?
So what I do is I watch what people give their word to. So I don't manage people. I manage people's words, because their word is their integrity. Great. And without integrity, nothing works. There's no workability. And so when I invite someone to like, for example, I have a lot of people want to get access to my calendar, right? Want to meet for breakfast, lunches, and dinners, and meetings, and so Zoom video meetings, all that kind of stuff.
Can't relate. I can't relate.
So what I do is I invite people to a hiking trail. And I get lots of people who accept the invitation or the calendar invitation, but very few show up. Give you a practical example. This morning at 6:30 a.m. here in Vancouver, Canada, the grouse grind.
No way. Okay.
So I had 4 people scheduled to meet with me this morning. The weather was beautiful, no rain. Not one person showed up. I was the only one that showed up. But 4 other people gave their word that they would be there. And 3 out of the 4 people did not communicate in advance by managing their integrity, their word, that they were not going to come. They were just a no-show. One guy sent me an email an hour and a half afterwards. They said, when can we get together? I want to talk to you about my business. Decline. We're done. Why? Because the thing is that he has a hidden agenda. See, the thing is that if you couldn't make it to the hiking trail this morning, the grouse grind, then you communicate in advance saying, hey, listen, something's unexpectedly come up as an emergency. I apologize if I cannot make it for 6:30 a.m. See, this was the test.
Yeah.
The test was, can you keep your word?
Wow.
Right? And so what I've learned from practical life experiences is that in my past, I didn't keep my word all the time. Right? But now what I do, and you know the reason why most people don't keep their word?
Not really. I wouldn't know, to be
because
honest.
The payoff is they don't have to confront themselves.
Wow.
That's the payoff.
Okay.
That's what's it. People don't have to confront themselves. You see, if you gave your word to me today on something that we agreed upon, and the consequences, if you didn't follow through, we cut your finger off.
I'll probably do it.
You would do it.
Yeah, 100%.
Or we cut your finger off.
Yeah. I'll probably do it. I don't want my finger off.
And you see, a lot of people be walking around with no fingers and toes.
Yeah.
In our society, if the consequences are we're going to lose a limb. In fact, they've done some studies with people in prisons over the years that people will fight to their death. But if you start to take their limbs away, their fingers and toes, I was going to do Antarctica in the last couple of years, summit Mount Vincent, Antarctica.
Okay.
And I've done Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, East Africa. I'm going to do Mount Everest Base Camp in Nepal.
Okay.
And I postponed the travel to Antarctica because I was interviewing different people who've summited Antarctica, and it's extreme cold weather conditions and a lot of training development, a lot of cold, worst case scenario, cold weather survival training. But the people I interviewed said, Darren, you need more training or you're going to possibly lose fingers and toes. And I don't want to lose fingers and toes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the key thing about their word is watch people what they give their word to. See, here's the thing. Most people we hear in business that talk is cheap. But most people cheapen their talk because their words have no power.
I see.
So I'm testing people as part of the discovery and due diligence process. Does their word have power? Does their word have punch? Does their word have credibility? Can I trust this man or woman on what they give their word to? Because when you walk into a room and you're raising money, your word should speak very powerfully.
100%.
Because it's a reputational risk.
100%.
So in my past, my words had no power. Now when I go places and why I've been able to accumulate a lot of success and fulfillment now in my life and do a lot of M&A and merge and acquire a lot of companies and do things and serve on the boards I serve on and advise boards and build schools of philanthropy is because my word. That's the key thing, is my word has power.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I would say that's one of the first red flag.
Yes.
What other red flags would you identify in a negotiation?
So what I do is when people say they're going to do something, I watch the feet, not the lips. And I watch if they say they're going to be. So like on my phone, for example, I have my iPhone. I could show you. I live by my calendar. Yeah. Because it's not structured in your calendar. There's no evidence that exists in your life. Yeah. So first thing I do when I meet people and they say, man, I want to become more successful. Great. Show me your calendar. Take out your mobile phone and show me your calendar. People are like, I don't have a calendar. Okay, so how do you keep track of your day? Well, I write down on sticky notes, or I have it on the refrigerator, or I have it in my head.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work.
You're not going to be high performance. Yeah. So first thing is what's in their calendar. How do they structure their daily habits and daily routines, and what are their highest priority leverage activities? And then out of the whole 7 days, over the next 7 days, what are the top 3 non-negotiables that they're working on? And no matter what happens this week, what's the one non-negotiable they must complete on to move things forward?
Love it.
In terms of control, discipline, and focus. Right? So it's so important. So number 1 is calendar. And number 2 is I then set alarms on my phone to my accountabilities that I give my word to each day. So I'm always on time. And if something unexpectedly happens that's out of my control, I will be in communication. If you notice, when you and I communicate by email, I ask for your cell phone number. Yeah. Because the thing is, if you're in this studio and you're getting set up, you're probably not checking your email.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But I know I can get a hold of you on your text message.
Yeah.
Or call you on your cell phone.
100%. That's amazing. Talking a little bit more of the school part that you were saying, that you have help and you have even, I would say, money to schools. I don't really understand what's your relation there. If you can get a little bit deep into there.
Well, so good question. So I struggled academically in school. I was a D student. I was able most likely not to succeed, ever amount to much, never go far in my life. Struggled going through elementary school, then junior high school, then got into high school. Grade 11 was taken out of class one day by a guidance counselor and a school teacher. And they said, based on your academic marks, Darren, you're probably not going to graduate from grade 12. But I wanted to get my PhD, my public high school diploma. Right? So I did graduate from grade 12, and I did graduate, but school was a waste of time for me. But what I realized is that later on in life, I ended up getting into a relationship with a woman, Tatiana, and has been my partner for many years in life. And the interesting thing is that she was a high school teacher for 35 years. Okay. She's on the back of the book. And so I give credit to Tatiana because she's got 3 academic degrees. She's very smart, very intelligent woman, was a high school teacher for 35 years here in Vancouver, Canada. But she has a master's degree in education and curriculum design. So she took everything out of my head and created the book Until I Become, and it went global to over 100 countries around the world. Amazing. So I say I give credit to a team of people who created Until I Become, but it was my story of my life experiences. So in 2018, I took Tatiana on her first humanitarian trip, and we went to a country called Liberia, West Africa, one of the most impoverished or poorest countries on planet Earth. Okay? And we saw extreme hardship. Now, it's a judgment because when you're over in third world countries, people who live in third world countries, if they're living in mud huts or they're living in tents or they're living in different kind of environments, they don't think they're in poverty. Yeah. They're just living life. Yeah. But as a first world, we compare first world to third world, so we do a comparison. Big. So we judge and label them. Yeah. But they're just living life. They're joyful. They're playful in who they are in life. Yeah, they're in survival according to our standards. So when I took Tatiana to Liberia, West Africa, she witnessed extreme poverty and hardship. And we went to some schools as part of the humanitarian trip, and she saw, coming from a first world in Vancouver, Canada, how posh the schools are here. How about it was compared to how they're not even a piece of chalk. Yeah. Right? Dirt floor. Little girls and boys go outside to use the bush to go to the bathroom. And so when we came back, Link Foundation, L-I-N-K, Link Foundation got born. And then in 2022, I got knighted as Sir Darren Jacklin, one of 24 people at the time in the world to get knighted through the Royal Order of Cappadocia. And when I got knighted, I was so honored because over 400 people globally were nominated. And I got chosen out of entrepreneurship and philanthropy because of my backstory and come up story and success stories. But the thing is that when I got knighted, I took on 2 accountabilities. Number 1 was to be a global ambassador for mental health awareness. That's why I'm doing these podcasts, to pay it forward and make a difference. Because if somebody like myself, who's overcome a lot of adversities and failures and challenges and setbacks, and was once homeless, I lived on the streets on welfare. I've did multiple suicide attempts when I was younger to end my life. I had an R9 credit rating, which is the worst possible credit score you can get in North America as a credit score. I turned that all around to create a lot of financial success. I see. Right? And so the schools today with Link Foundation, so when I got knighted, I took on the accountability to build 100 schools. But over the last couple of years, I've had a tremendous amount of success because I understand systems and processes and how to put the right people on the teams and make things happen to grow and scale businesses. So now, Tatiana, I've taken on the accountability to do 1,000 schools, which is $100 million. Wow. Thanks. And so one of my companies I'm building right now. Thanks. The plan is to exit on that for a high 9 figures here in a few years. Thanks. And take $100 million of my own money and pay it forward and contribute to Link Foundation for global philanthropy as a legacy project. That's amazing. Yeah. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. That we got to be thankful as a world, right? Yeah. What would you say is the main problem of the education system? Education system? It's not practical. It's theoretical. It's not in real time. It doesn't give people real life skills of what they're dealing with today in their lives, whether it's things on social media, how to apply for a job, how to shake somebody's hand, how to meet and greet somebody, how to follow up, human connection. We're in the people business. Yeah. But the thing is that when these young men and women grow up today, they go out and nobody likes them, nobody trusts them, and nobody gets to know them because they're not building rapport. Mm-hmm. Right? So the key thing is school teaches you stuff how to memorize things, but doesn't teach you. Everybody gets a ribbon today, but doesn't teach you how to deal with adversities and challenges and setbacks. So to me, I'm an experiential person, very practical person. Yeah. Right? So like I had a gentleman earlier today, he's a CEO, runs a very successful company. He wanted to meet with me today. So rather than meet on a Zoom video call or go for lunch, I took him hiking. We went on a hike after I did the gross grind today. So I went and did the gross grind by myself. Then I went and did a bunch of work, made a bunch of phone calls, did a bunch of Zoom calls, and then I went and met with a guy a couple hours later, and I went for a hike with him.
Great.
And rather than sit down, we're getting physical exercise and we're bonded at a much deeper level. And the thing is, for him solving his problems, because he's dealing with some big problems right now in his company, to solve some big financial problems, but he got it sorted out within an hour and a half on that hike.
Awesome. That's awesome. What's the main difference that your wife impact in your life daily for do all these successful things, not at once, but being disciplined and etc. How do your wife is a support there, and how she stand up for sometimes what you think is right?
Yeah, so it's interesting because in life we get hugged and slugged. Yeah. Right? Hugged and slugged, kissed and kicked, supported and challenged. So if you put something on your social media that's going to be controversial, like Mega or Donald Trump or President of the United States, you're going to get support and challenge. Yeah. You're going to get hugged, you're going to get slugged, you're going to get kissed, you're going to get kicked.
100%.
So there's always a balance of hug and slug, kiss and kick, support and challenge. Yeah. But people don't see both sides. So in my relationship with Tatiana, I get both hugged and slugged, kissed and kicked, supported and challenged.
Yeah, like
because
everyone,
she has very high levels of standards, but also she's the integrity police. See, she was a high school teacher for 35 years. You can't lie to her, right? You can't exaggerate, you can't embellish things because she can see right through it. It's either done or it's not done, right? Because as a teacher, she was always taught with kids lying to her. Yeah. And so I've learned to really raise my standards of accountability and responsibility and integrity being around something like that. But it creates a phenomenal workable relationship.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Because I run towards it versus run away from it. Because it's not always easy. Yeah. And intimate relationships are not easy from my experience, right? Especially when you work together because you're dealing with challenges. You're dealing with things all the time. You're solving problems. And so it's just going back to your calendar and prioritizing things to do things together.
100%.
Yeah.
There is a phrase that I have listened to you in all this interview.
Yeah.
You have said multiple times, solving problems, not even in life, but also in business. What does solving problems means for Sir Darren?
So key thing is when every day when I wake up, I'm going to be solving problems. That's what I do. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in business. I solve problems all the time. So I run towards problems, but I do it with speed and execution. That's the key thing is speed and execution. I'll give you an example. I have a number of billionaires that are in my cell phone. Yeah. Number of billionaires, over probably 35, 40 billionaires in my cell phone, not to brag. And I can pull up my phone right now in real time and I can show you on camera. I could text a couple of the billionaires and within minutes, within a couple hours, worst case scenario, 24 hours, unless they're traveling or flying someplace or working on something, I'll get a text message or a phone call back from them. But yet I'll meet somebody else who's got a startup company or is running a business, and it may be a few days or a week or so. Oh my gosh, I'm so busy. But yet the billionaire who's got 50,000 employees running a multi-billion-dollar company, global enterprise with a lot of accountabilities and responsibilities and stress gets back to me in minutes, if not a few hours to within 24 hours. Because what the key thing is they want to get whatever they can off their plate quickly. Yeah. So the key thing is execution. And this is where most people, they fall short on is execution, speed and execution. One of my strengths that it's like a muscle for me is speed and execution. So when it comes to time to solve a problem, see the problem, execute. But also scenario plan. What's best case scenario? What's likely case scenario? And what's worst possible case scenario? Because a lot of times people look at, oh my gosh, best case or worst case, but they don't look at what's the likely case scenario. So I always scenario plan everything.
I love that. In terms of all the impact that you're doing in the school, etc., how do you think that relates with, let's say, all this contacts that you have, etc.? Are you planning to bring people to this project, etc.? Yeah. Okay.
So down the road, we have another people who came forward to us over the last few years because they see the track record of what we've done and how Tatiana and I are high performance to make, like we move our feet, not our lips, and we make things happen. We get things done.
I love that phrase.
Yeah. And, we get things done. Yeah. Very with speed and execution. And so we have a number of people that want to be around us to do humanitarian trips. Here's the reason why. Not only does it feel good to be of service and make a difference in terms of humanitarian or philanthropy, but also proximity is power. It's the people that you get a seat at the table with, the like-mindedness people in that environment, that collaboration, that collective intelligence of like-minded people. Okay. So I'm around, you hang out with me and you'll be around people who are the most impoverished with the schools that we're building with Link Foundation, to royalty, right? Because I hang out with royalty around the world as well, to affluence, to success, to all these different kinds of people, but I don't change. Whether I'm dealing with the most impoverished person on the planet to the most elite, whether it's an academic, it's an entrepreneur, it's a celebrity, it's a billionaire, whoever it is, I'm the same person, right? I'm saying I don't change.
I love that.
And I'm just the way I am. And that's the thing, is that a lot of people are surprised by how I live my life, that I'm pretty low profile but high impact. I don't have flash and none of that kind of stuff. I'm just low profile kind of guy, because to me, it's all about making a difference and being of service, and being humble is a big thing.
I see. Would you define humble as one of the main priorities of your life?
Being humble and being able to relate to anybody. I just spent 28 days on a cruise. I was on Norwegian Cruise Lines in the Encore, traveling around Central America. And by the time I was complete with the cruise, a lot of the staff on board felt like family. Wow. And, they've reached out to me through social media and stuff. And because I get to know each one of them, whether they're in Indonesia, they're in Philippines, they're in India, that's where most of the staff come from. But I got to know them on a first name basis, a lot of these men and women that work on the ship for 8-month contract. Yeah. But I treat them as a relational person, not a transactional. A lot of people are transactional, but they're not relational. And social media is a good example. You get people who hit you up in your direct DMs, direct messages, and they're trying to pitch and sell you something. It's all transactional versus building a relationship with you, where you get to know them, like them, and trust them. And then people wonder why they're not succeeding to where they want to be, because it's all transactional versus relational. I play the long game by building relationships with people. I love that. We're in 2026 right now. I still, to this day, yesterday, I send out handwritten thank you cards. I send out handwritten thank you cards with postage stamps to people who've never sent a stamp, or probably never purchased a stamp before in their life, or never even mailed an envelope in their life. And they get this. And I've had people even reach out to me saying, how did this get to me? Like, how did this get to me? Because they don't know the step-by-step process of how it came through the mail to get to them. Because they've never done it.
Yeah, I see.
But it's that personal touch of building relationship equity, which is different. So even when I travel, even when I was on the cruise ship, I hand wrote notes to a lot of the staff, went to guest services and submitted it. And then the staff got handwritten, personalized notes from me.
I love that.
Right? And I think to myself, okay, every week there's 5,000 new passengers, new guests getting on that ship. Just think about just think about yourself. In the last year, approximately how many thank you cards did you get? Approximately.
Not physical ones, for sure.
See?
Not physical ones,
that's why I said the word approximately.
Yeah.
Because the answer is zero.
Yeah. No physical.
So how do you stand out?
Yeah.
You stand out by, even places where I go now, I'll find postcards and I'll mail somebody a postcard and they're like, wow, I haven't seen a postcard in a decade.
Wow.
But you see, you become memorable versus forgettable.
I see. I love that. You have also said and talk a lot about discipline and a struggle and go through the pain and breakthrough, basically.
Yes.
What is one of the most memorable breakthroughs that you had in your life?
A few of them. A couple of things that I never thought was ever happened in my life. So one of them, I've had a chance to go to NASDAQ in New York City 3 times.
Lovely. And
ring the closing bell.
Okay.
Right?
Actually.
Yeah. I've been there 3 times in New York City to ring the closing bell at NASDAQ down in Times Square.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So somebody from my track record, my background, like that's impossible.
Okay.
Summiting Mount Kilimanjaro at 19,340 feet in elevation, 5,895 meters. When I had a number of people did interventions and tried to stop me and said, Darren, this is crazy. You're too old for this. Do you realize what you're doing? This is high risk. This is dangerous. You're in the death zone, all this stuff. But I trained myself for a year for it. And I summited it. It was an incredible experience. Wow. So that, I think, my book coming out, Until I Become, because I had a chance a number of years ago to travel with a guy named Mark Victor Hansen. And Mark Victor Hansen, him and his partner, Jack Kempfeld, are in the Guinness Book of World Records for selling over 500 million copies of a nonfiction book called Chicken Soup for the Soul series. Okay. They sold over 500 million copies. Yeah. And Mark and I were traveling. We're eating dinner one night in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And Mark says, I want to turn you into a best-selling author. I want to take your story. I want a best-selling author. I didn't want the visibility of the exposure. I thought, why would anybody listen to my story? I'm not good enough and I'm the misunderstood person. So I declined his request. Wow. And then during COVID-19, during the lockdown, Ted and I were together. The idea came to create Until I Become with a team, and it went to over 100 countries around the world. So, my background thinking, well, why did anybody want to listen to me? But yet the book's only 92 pages, but it's a practical book. People don't read Until I Become, they study it. It's in book clubs, it's in companies, it's in corporations all over the world. Lovely. Right? I have parents come to me all the time and said, this is in our family library. This is mandatory reading for our children. And so that just really impacts me, knowing that my story, because I used to think, why would anybody listen to my story? It was full of a lot of failures and a lot of adversities, a lot of challenges, a lot of setbacks. I was so financially broke in my 30s that I had an R9 credit rating. So most people, what's an R9 credit rating? Well, Google it. Go to ChatGPT and type in what's an R9 credit rating. R9 credit rating is worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So I was so broke, and then 4 years later, I was a millionaire. So I went from an R9 credit rating where I was so financially broke that I couldn't even afford to pay bankruptcy fees to go bankrupt. So people asked me, did you ever go bankrupt? I said I couldn't afford the fees. 4 years later, I was a millionaire. So I turned it all around. Now I'm a multi-millionaire, right? I'm not saying to impress people, but I say that to show you that I went from somebody who would be written off statistically as a case study. You'd say there's no way when you're an R9 credit rating, nobody will touch you. You're high risk, right? I was so broke, I was eating my next meal out of a garbage dumpster. I was homeless living on the streets, okay? So I've been there. I know what financial hardship is. I know what being so broke that, all my friends and family, I owed them all money.
Yeah.
But then I repaid all that stuff over a period of time.
Obviously, yeah.
So I know what financial struggle is and hardship is. So when some people say, oh, Darren, I'm going through a real tough spot financially. Great. What's your credit score? And they go, oh, I'm a 600, I'm a 500.
You're
man,
okay.
You got lots of room, man. You got lots of runway. Try having a 311.
Yeah.
Try having a 311 credit score. I feel so, I didn't even know you'd go that low.
Yeah,
well, I went that low. I try to mean so financially broke that you can't even afford bankruptcy because you can't even afford the fees. You're living less than $2 a day. I've done that in the first world here in Canada.
Wow. And you said you built all this in 4 years. What happened those 4 years?
So what I did was I got present to, number one, my word, that my words had no power. And so I took a course, and I met a woman in this course who was an integrity auditor. She monitored, that's what she did, like an integrity coach. Mm-hmm. And I went and made a bunch of money, paid her to do an audit on my life and to expose me where all my blind spots were of where I had exaggerated things, embellished things, do things. She called my friends, family, relatives, talk to people, interview them, come back with a detailed report on an integrity audit.
Wow.
Okay. The most confronting, the most uncomfortable experience I've ever done in my entire life.
Probably.
Terrified.
Yeah.
Because, but the most powerful thing, because we learn and we grow through pain, and we learn and we grow through discomfort. So standing there and facing the report, just like somebody gets an audit in business, when the IRS or the CRA audits you, you go through that audit, it's uncomfortable, right? So that feedback was powerful in my life. And it changed my life. And now I welcome it. So I have an inner circle of people in my life that we hold each other to a very high standard of accountability, responsibility, transparency, and integrity. And we have uncomfortable conversations that are scheduled in our calendars to sit down and have uncomfortable conversations as men. Most people won't go there because they want to look good and they want to have image and ego and pride. We go there because that's the juice. That's where the growth is.
Have you ever come across to this book called Ego is the Enemy of Ryan Holiday? I
haven't, no.
You have not? You should read it. It will make a lot of sense to you,
sure.
actually. Besides that, coming from there, what's ego for you? And how you battle your ego? Because ego is something that is around all of us, in all of our brains.
Absolutely.
In a lot of types, right?
It's interesting because I sometimes struggle with that in a sense that, there's confidence and there's ego. And in my own life, sometimes what I do is I look at my past of where I've come from and what I've overcome. Yeah. So I may come across sometimes to people like I'm a little bit confident or cocky, but really I'm coming from a place of love, that I come from a place that I see where people are at and where they're stuck or they're comfortable. And they're like, oh, look, it must be good for you of who you are. And I'm not coming from a place of I'm not coming from a place of ego, or that's not, but it may be perceived that way. I'm coming from a place that I want to push people. I want to believe in you that where you're at right now, I've been worst case scenario much further than that. So where you're at right now, I would have loved to be there.
Yeah.
Right. But I went further. So that's the thing with ego. And I think the thing is also too, is that, pride in not asking for help. It's a big thing in my own life growing up is I never asked for help. Now I realize now that if I don't understand something, I ask people. I'm around people. I got people on speed dial. I ask people all the time. Yeah. And also realizing that when people meet you, especially like, when I travel, when you go to these third world countries, you're like a billionaire to these people. Some of these people don't know where their next meal is going to come from. Right? They're living on grasshoppers and crickets and termites and insects to survive for protein. And so when you meet these people and you show up, they automatically put you on a pedestal. And so I remember being that kid where, I used to go to workshops and seminars when I was younger, and I'd walk into a seminar and I worked my butt off to get the money to get the ticket to go to this event. Yeah. I couldn't afford I didn't have the money for VIP. Yeah. So I was in the back or in the bleachers, but I was the one taking a lot of notes. And somebody would start talking about, they bought this new watch or they took this trip or they bought this car. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm just trying to figure out how to pay my rent on time. I was trying to figure out how to pay my bills on time.
I love that. Yeah.
Right? So to me, when I go places, I'm a very practical person, but I'm also a person who shows them, what do they need to do step by step, right? Because like social media to me is a lot of it's fake because they show all this fluff, all this success, somebody in a jet, but they don't even own the jet or they don't even own the luxury car.
I love what you're saying.
All that kind of stuff. But they don't show the perseverance and the adversities and the challenges and the early mornings and the late nights and the rejections and the no's and all that stuff to get to where they are. And I think that's what's really missing is that people don't understand the hard work. And like, listen, being an entrepreneur sucks at times. It sucks. Yeah. It's not glamorous. It's not glory. It's a roller coaster ride that you got to go through and persevere on.
100%.
Right? There's peaks and valleys all the time. You're getting hugged and getting slugged all the time. And so, but the main thing is to keep your word and maintain your integrity. That is so important.
Love that. So if you have to resume everything of your life or more than your life, your entrepreneurship life on one scale, what scale would it be?
Be your word, keep your word.
Okay.
Because I could lose everything right now, but I could make a couple phone calls and get money like within a couple hours, whatever I need. Like if I need to raise $5 million right now, I could make a couple phone calls and a couple texts and have it in 3 days, maybe even less, $5 million. Probably if I needed 10 million, I could probably get it. Wow. Why? Because of my word and my reputation.
I love that.
Because people know that my word, they can bank on my word.
I love that.
Whereas a lot of people like you meet people at startup events and networking events, they're like, I've been trying to raise capital for years. Yeah, you don't show up on time. You don't follow through consistently. Obviously, you don't keep your word. And no wonder your reputational risk is you're someone who's not reliable, someone they don't trust you.
I love that. I love that. So you would say the real skill for an entrepreneur is someone that you can rely on.
Your word creates your world. Yeah. So if everything comes back to word, the reason why there's a lot of lawsuits out there, I have a lot of friends of mine that are lawyers, is because people that are mistrusting and suspicious, do you know why people are mistrusting and suspicious? Because I used to be one of them. The reason why people are mistrusting and suspicious is because they have a lot of broken promises to themselves. They can't keep their own word to themselves. They'll do 10 push-ups. They don't do 10 push-ups. They're going to go to the gym. They don't go to the gym. They're going to do this. You're going to do that. And they don't follow through and do complete work and don't do that. So when they consistently build up enough evidence around that they can't keep their own word, why would they trust other people to keep their word?
Yeah. I see. Big part of our community and part of our viewers, they are from this side, more young side. They're trying to figure things out. And I think they're all ambitious. But if you had to give them one advice, a couple of advice, whatever you want, on how they need to persevere and how they actually need to make business work. Because there's a lot of people that says, do 1,000 strategies for 100K, whatever. What you say is like, actually, this is the only thing that matters in business. And if you follow this, no matter what, you're going to be successful.
Well, it's your keeping your word and your reputation of building. See, if we look at one of the things I talk about in my book, Until I Become, is I talk about that as human beings, all we are is a network of conversations.
I love that. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
We're a network of conversations and opportunities getting created inside of conversations. But the challenge is we're taught as children, don't talk to strangers. Right? Don't talk to strangers. But yet strangers have everything you want, everything you need, everything you desire in your life. Yeah. So the key thing is learning to talk to strangers. But most people get uncomfortable. Darren, I don't know what to say to a stranger. Yeah. Okay? How are you today? Good morning, good afternoon. How's your day? Pay them with a sincere compliment. Acknowledge, recognize them. Right? I meet many people who go to Starbucks all the time. I'm like, what's the girl that serves you coffee every day at Starbucks? I don't know. Yeah. I just go and order my coffee. It's the same girl there. She's there quite often, and you don't even know her name. Yeah. Right? So the key thing is you build relationships. We're in the people business. Yeah. And people say, well, Darren, you're so extroverted. Well, no, I've trained myself to be extroverted. I took Dale Carnegie training, Toastmasters. I take a lot of training development. I don't energize being with people. I get drained being with groups of people. If you take me to a conference or a seminar, at the end, I'm completely exhausted. You take me to a trade show, at the end of it, I'm completely exhausted. Whereas they'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm done. I need to go be by nature and go recharge by myself.
I see.
Right? So there's that introverted side of me. But the thing is that where I get joy from is like doing what we're doing now with the podcast. I get energized from this because it's paying it forward and passing on and creating a ripple of impact. Plus, there was a book called The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. It's a New York Times bestselling book called The 5 Love Languages that I think everybody should read because it shows you in terms of people that when you meet them, some people want to hug you.
Yeah.
Physical touch. Some people like words of affirmation. Some people like quality time. Some people like gifts, and some people like myself, acts of service. So my number one thing is acts of service. My number 5 is physical touch.
I see. I see. So in terms of that, after building a lot of all successful business, etc., what is a key thing that your business partner needs to have?
So key thing is integrity. So showing up on time. Accountability, responsibility, and discipline. Because if they're going to be around me, you're going to be held to a high level of accountability, responsibility, and a standard, and you have to perform at that. So like in business for me, business to me is a sport. If you watched me during the day and during the week, you would see that I'm like a high performance athlete in the NBA or like the NFL or the NHL. I'm an athlete in business just like people are in sports. I have the same accountability, discipline, perseverance. I play at the same kind of level of standards.
I see.
But the key thing is you got to move your body.
I see.
And I used to be fat and overweight. I used to be addicted to fast food, used to be addicted to a lot of sweets and a lot of sugar, a lot of potato chips, a lot of ice cream. Cut a lot of that out in my life now. I go to the gym every day as a non-negotiable.
That's lovely.
I hike almost every day of my life, rain or shine. I'm relentless. A lot of my business meetings happen on hiking trails today. Okay. So the key thing is you got to take care of your body. You got to move your body. And the key thing is that if you meet somebody and you know, raising capital, prime example.
Yeah.
You have somebody who's fat and overweight. They walk into a room to raise capital. People automatically thinking, I don't know about this person. I don't know if they're accountable, responsible, disciplined. Guy walks in, or woman walks in, they're very disciplined with physical fitness. It's like, wow, that person, because you can't fake visible abs.
Yeah.
Right? I'm working on visible abs right now. Yeah. You can't fake it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't buy cream. You can't buy pills. 100%. You either have visible abs or you don't have visible abs.
Yeah. What's purpose? What is your purpose and what means to you, Sir Darren? After all that you have created and all the struggle that you have been, what kept you with the feet in the ground and say, I gotta get out of here because this is the purpose and this is my why, and that's why I will achieve whatever is on my head.
You know, so one of the things is definitely with Link Foundation, with We Build Schools, is building a school around or building schools around the world where you know that the people there, it transforms the community. It's a school during the day, during the week, but on the weekends and the evenings and summer times, it's a community center. So you bring community together in terms of economic development, you know, and from there you can teach kids how to look after the bees, right? So create beehives. You can grow a garden. You can grow food. So now you create sustainability in the community. You can then get people to sponsor bikes and then ship bikes over to that village. And now they got transportation to get around. You can get them soccer balls. You can build a basketball court. You can build a tennis court or pickleball. You can build a soccer field. You can build a football field. You know, all these things. So then you get kids to move their bodies. So now you create this whole environment where people can thrive. And then with technology, you can link them up by satellite, you know, and we're going to see a lot of stuff in the next few years with satellite technology, how we're going to go to a whole new level with satellite technology. And so you'll be able to link everybody up around the world. Eventually, we're going to get rid of cell phone towers. We'll be actually all by satellite.
Your why was impact and help.
Impacting, making a difference, because the secret to living is giving. And
wow, yes.
Right?
Yes, I love that.
And my success or your success is someone else's miracle.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that. There's also a quote, I don't remember in which book I read it, but it was, you feel more love when you give it.
Absolutely. For sure.
And that's because of something. The gratitude of having someone to give that love is really big. Yeah. Sir Darren, sorry. What's something that changed your life? And it's something that impacted you so bad, in a positive or bad way, that you said, I got to move out of here, right?
Yeah.
In a good or a bad way.
So a couple of things. One is I remember being in Toastmasters, which is the largest public speaking leadership organization in the world. You know, Toastmasters has been around for over 100 years. It's a global organization. And a lady by the name of Sue Urquhart, which you'll learn about in my book, you know, I'm in this program. I'm fighting for my life. Like literally fighting for my life. I have no self-confidence. I feel I'm not good enough, not smart enough, never going to amount to much in my life, very insecure, very afraid of being a human being, very afraid. And I'm in this program to work on building my self-confidence. And I do something called an icebreaker. So it's a 3 to 5 minute speech about myself.
Wow.
Totally terrified. I threw up in the washroom before I went out to present in front of my Toastmasters group. I actually even pulled the fire alarm of the hotel.
Wow.
Which you'll learn about in the book I talk about vulnerably. And when I'm in this Toastmasters meeting, this woman gets up who I don't really know. She's like a stranger to me. Yeah. She's in my Toastmasters group, but I'm putting people on pedestals thinking, they're way better than me. Yeah. I'm not good enough. So I put people on a pedestal, put myself in the pit. So they're on the pedestal, I'm in the pit. And this woman gets up, and her name is Sue Urquhart, and she starts talking about how much she believes in me when I don't believe in myself. So that was a defining moment in my life that strangers care, and there's times where people are going to believe more in you than you believe in yourself. Yeah. So a big thing I've learned in my life now is to believe in people when they don't believe in themselves. And I can spot it because I've lived it in my own life. And so I can see it in other people. A prime example, in a few weeks, I'm actually flying off to go meet with someone. 20 years ago, I told a young woman who was in her early 20s that she was got a job at this place. And I said to her, I says, if you work hard and you develop the right mindset and discipline, within the next 20 years, you can become the CEO of this very large organization. And she laughed at me and she says, why would you say that? That's crazy talk. Like, that's crazy talk. I said, no, you will be the CEO of this organization.
Let me guess.
Okay. So just last month, it was publicly announced in a press release. She's now the CEO of this $500 million corporation. Okay. She called me up a couple of weeks ago and she says, I need you to come in as a guest speaker for 2 days. I'm taking the executives to a retreat. And I've been telling them all about you. How 20 years ago, I was this young woman, 22 years old. You planted the seed in my mind that I would be, within 20 years, I'd be the CEO. I'm now officially the CEO.
Wow.
And because I saw it in her. I thought if she just focuses, does the work, does the disciplines, accountable, responsible, works hard over time, she can grow and develop and expand herself. And she went through a roller coaster ride. There was times that she even left the organization, went to work someplace else, then came back, and now she's a CEO.
So if someone has the discipline, the correct mindset, and I would say this daily putting the work done thing, do you think it's just about time that he's or she is going to achieve something big?
For sure. You got to deal with the boredom. You got to deal with the mundane where it's like, this is boring. I'm not being challenged anymore. It's the steady, consistent discipline over and over and over again. Because when you're doing your daily habits and daily routines, it gets boring, right? Because you're like, I got to change things up. Yeah. But that's where the growth happens, right? Consistently compounded over a period of time. Success is a series of well-managed failures. And the key thing is doing things over and over and over again, right? So one of the things you'll learn in my book is I talk about whatever you lack in skill, you make it up in numbers, right? Whatever you lack in skill, you make it up in numbers. It's a strategy I've done for many years of my life because when I was a young kid knocking on doors, I was very insecure. Right? I didn't have self-confidence. I was in special education. I'm not good enough. I'm misunderstood. So why would somebody ever give me money or give me a job to work in their business or work in their yard, to cut their grass, shovel their sidewalks, clean their swimming pool? So whatever I lacked in skill, I made up in numbers. A lot of people don't realize some of the greatest salespeople in the world are actually the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah. Because they're selling Jesus door to door. And they have to overcome when they're doing their missionary trips. And the 7 day, I have a lot of friends of mine that are Mormons and some 7-day Adventists and some Jehovah's Witnesses. And the Mormons have to go do a missionary trip. Yeah. And the boys go out for 2 years, the girls go for 18 months somewhere in the world. And they have to overcome dealing with people with different religious beliefs from all over the world.
Different languages too.
Yeah, and different languages. So when they come back, they are rejection proof, and they're great at door-to-door sales. They're great at selling solar or roofing or real estate or other commission sales businesses.
I love that. Sir Darren, how do you look in the next 10 years of your life?
So next 10 years is, so I will, I'll exit from one of my companies for high 9 figures. We'll go into a role of contributing $100 million to global philanthropy to build 1,000 schools around the world. I'll step foot in 150 countries on all 7 continents. So I'll do 150 countries at least on the planet. I will be in the most physically fit shape with the highest forms of energy like possible. I've climbed a lot of mountains around the world, hiked. I've developed a lot of young men and women to push up people to grow and skill and develop them.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Be in phenomenal physical shape, like that people like, wow, how'd this guy do that? right? Just by getting around and modeling other people who've got the results. A lot of travel around the world, but a lot of philanthropy, and then growing and scaling businesses that can then fund and solve a lot of problems in the world. I have a master plan for my life that is like a 250-year plan for my life. I've been working on it for now 18 years. And there's a family that I hire every year to retain them. And I meet with them for a few days every year as they consult with me. They're an ultra high net worth family. And they have a plan, a master plan. It's a 1,000-year legacy plan. It's all documented out. It's a 1,000-year plan that they have written out for 1,000 years.
I've never heard someone to say something like that.
So I've got one for 250 years I've been working on, 250-year plan.
That's great. That's great. That's great. What would you say to the young Sir Darren?
What's that?
What would you say to the young Sir Darren?
Take more calculated risks when I was younger because you got lots more runway. Don't be scared to ask people for help or make a request, because for every question you don't ask, the answer is always no. And so when you make a request for something, or a powerful request, or an outrageous request, or an unreasonable request, people will only do one of three things. They'll accept the request, they'll decline the request, or they'll counteroffer the request. When I was younger, I had girls that I put on pedestals. Oh my gosh, I'd love to be with this girl, but I'm not good enough to be with this girl. Then years later, we reconnect, and the woman's like, why didn't you ever ask me out? Why didn't we ever get together? Why didn't we ever date? Why didn't we ever get in a relationship? I'm like, what? You're in a completely different league than me. No, I couldn't figure out why you never asked me. Some people in business, I've had situations in the last 10 years where I've had people say, why didn't you ask me to write a check for your business? Why didn't you ask me to invest capital with you? I'm like, well, I was scared to. I would have loved to. I would have backed you. I would have believed in you. Why didn't you ever give me a chance? I'm like, why didn't you ever approach me? Well, I didn't think you needed any more capital. I thought you were selective with the people you're having a seat at the table with. So there's people in my life that I thought, well, I'm not going to ask them. I don't want to inconvenience them. I don't want to change the dynamics of the relationship, right? But yet they're waiting for an opportunity.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Sir Darren, and what's something that is non-negotiable in your life? It's not in business. It's in personal life. It's in you. That is literally non-negotiable. You have to do that single task every day, and it helps you in your personal business development, etc. So
I journal every day. I handwrite it in a journal. Been doing it for 35 years. And I have a private conversation with myself every day as a daily non-negotiable. So, and I have an agreement when I've had in relationships over the years that if a woman reads my journals without my permission, the relationship's over. And I actually ended a relationship within 45 minutes from a woman going through my journals. I was away on a business trip one time. I came back and the journals were opened. We had an agreement that if you open up the journals without my permission, you're reading something that's confidential and private. Not that I have anything to hide. It's where I feel safe to put things on paper that the relationship is over.
Wow.
And so that's an important thing. I think health and fitness is a daily non-negotiable, because what happens is over time, you can have 1,000 goals. I have over 7,000 written goals for my life in my master plan that are documented, over 7,000 goals.
I love that.
And every year I take 10 goals, which I call personal promises. And then what I do is I actually write them out every morning. So every day. And sometimes I write them out twice a day, sometimes even 3 times a day. So repetition and consistency. And I work on those top 10 personal promises. And I review them every month as well, every quarter, semi-annually, and every year. And I do that. So it's important. Most people don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. They don't set written practical goals or standards in their life, right? So like me, like a new standard in my life that I set recently is a standard now. It's not a goal, it's a standard, is 10 countries a year I will travel to, 10 new countries on the planet.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Do you believe in manifestation?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Yeah. And I'm living proof of it, because in 2003, I had a vision board. I still do vision boards, but 2003 I had a vision board, and I took a picture of a house, a mansion in Delta, British Columbia, Canada. I was on a training development course in Vancouver, pouring rain out. I was living in the Okanagan Valley of British Columbia. It's a 5-hour drive.
Yeah.
And I was leaving Vancouver, and I got lost. This is before GPS. I got lost, and I ended up on this road, and I had to get gas. So I pull over, I get gas. I'm driving down this road, and I see this beautiful big mansion. I thought, wow. So I went back to the Chevron gas station. I bought a disposable camera, took a picture of this mansion, went and got the picture developed at London Drugs, took the picture, put it on my vision board.
Yeah.
4 years later, I moved into that house. I didn't own it, but I moved into the house and I got a chance. It was owned by a billionaire family, and I got a chance to move into this 14,000 square foot mansion. $6 million mansion at the time. The family owned it. They had homes around the world. And I got a chance to move into the house for 10 months rent-free to look after it for insurance purposes. It was the house that was on the exact house, the exact address, 10131 Ladner Trunk Road in Delta, British Columbia, Canada. It's the exact address. And I got to move into that house. So I've manifested a lot of things. You'll see in my book, Until I Become, I have a must-meet list. And I have, every year I come up with 100 people around the world that I want to meet. Then they could be Olympic athletes, influencers, celebrities, billionaires, all kinds of people from all over the world, from all walks of life, philanthropists, humanitarians. And I take their picture, I put their picture and their name on my must meet list.
Yeah.
And I play this game, just like some, law enforcement has most wanted list or missing children's list. I have a must meet list of people I want to meet.
I love that.
And you'd be amazed at the hundreds of people I've met over the years of doing these must meet. You'll see one of the must meet lists in the book. And it gives you a visual example. And people start doing this, and you'll start because once you're at the same vibration of energy, you'll be in the same room. Yeah. And I've been on the same airplanes. I've been at charity events, concerts, fundraised events, airports, hotels, where I've traveled, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, that person. Or I've had people read my book, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm on your must meet list. And they make contact with me, or their publicist contacts me, or their assistant contacts me and said, hey, I represent so-and-so. You have them in your book on the must meet list. They would like to meet you for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or a virtual Zoom meeting.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And just for finish, and there's a topic that I would like to get deep into. Mm-hmm. It's mental health.
Sure, absolutely.
What would you say to young people that is struggling out there?
Yeah. So the key thing is that, because I've been through it my own life, is when you're dealing with something, you're not the only one in the world dealing with that problem or challenge, whatever it is, relationship, financial, direction or focus or guidance in your life. The key thing is to talk to other people, right? And have a conversation with other people, no matter what you're dealing with, or if you've done something that's wrong or bad. You maybe had an affair, or you stole something, or you've done something you're not proud of. Everybody's done stupid things in their lives. The key thing is change your environment. But also, I was on the phone yesterday with a gentleman who's running a big company, and he's dealing with some challenges right now. We're having to lay off some employees, and with the tariffs between U.S. and Canada and some other countries, he's been really impacted financially to his company, right, with moving goods across the border. And so he's having to lay off some people, and it's really affected his mental health and his relationship at home with his wife and his kids. And I said, you got to go to the gym. You don't have time to go to the gym. I said, you need to go to the gym. He goes, no, I can't spend that $100 a month, right? Because he likes to go to a nice gym. I said, I need that $100. I can't. I said, then you need to go to the park. You need to walk. You need to do the stairs, not take the elevators, but you need to do push-ups or sit-ups or go to YouTube and watch videos. You got to move your body, and you got to drink a lot more water. So important.
Thank you, Sir Darren. This
pleasure.
Was an amazing interview. And I would like you to leave leave one last message to whoever that is listening to this podcast right now.
Sure.
There is one thing that if they need to stay from this whole interview, they should keep for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. Yeah. Never assume that you aren't being observed. We are always being watched and observed. We're always being watched and observed, so never assume you're not being observed. So that's why your actions, your behaviors are so important, because people are always watching and observing you. Second thing is, I'll give people an opportunity or a challenge. 2 questions. Number 1 is, I want you to ask yourself, where am I not requesting in my life? So just look at a life that's not working for you. Yeah. Well, there's no workability. Where you're an area of your life that's not working. So you could be in a relationship and you're not going on date nights. Right. So there's no connection with your relationship because you're a young family, or you've got a startup business, or you've got a career going on. And you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't been on a date night with my wife or my partner for months or a couple of years, or since we got married. So look at your life of, where am I not requesting in my life? Because what you'll find is, like, if you're around me, I'm always making requests. Sometimes they're outrageous requests, they're powerful requests, they're unreasonable requests, but I'm always making requests because I let people powerfully choose to accept the request, decline the request, or counteroffer the request. So question number 1 is, where am I not requesting? And question number 2 is, who do you become? Take a look, self-reflection, self-awareness. Who do you become when you're not requesting? Are you coming from abundance and prosperity? Or are you contracting and coming from lack and scarcity? Are you playing big, or are you playing small in life? Because people who make a lot of requests, right? Asking for recommendations, asking for referrals, asking for endorsements, asking for, to open up opportunities, making requests all the time. Hey, could you introduce me to this person? Just making requests and not being attached to the outcome. you'll be amazed at how your life will change by making requests.
I love that. I love that. Thank you, Sir Darren.
My pleasure. Grateful to be here.